Okay, so what we're going to look at in this video then is the word problem. So this is one of the sections that people can find quite difficult because it can be hard kind of pulling from the words and from the questions, how do we translate it then into maths and I suppose specifically into algebra then. So the key thing that I've put there is if we need to let x be the unknown. So x is the number that we don't know the value of. So really in all these questions, they're going to be some number that we don't know the value of, and then something is going to be done to that number. So they might add something to it, subtract, multiply it, something like that. We might even be given another situation that it is equal to. And the important thing is if we let x be the unknown number and if we work through the things that they tell us about that number, like what has happened to it, then that's the best way that we can come up with the equations that we'll need. And then we can solve those using the techniques that we've looked at in the previous videos and in the previous sections. So looking at even the first example here, I think of a number and I take 6 away from it. So if I think of a number, that's the one that's unknown, so that would be x. I take 6 away from it, so subtract 6. The result is 12. Where we see result, that means the answer. That means that it is equal to 12. So that's quite important as well. So when we see the result, we're going to think equals. And we can see that they just have that done out there and then solving to find that the answer is 18. Now you will find with a lot of these questions you might just be able to know the answer, but really what we're trying to practice here is translating from words to algebra and to maths and building up those skills. And it's always best to start with ones that we could answer without translating to algebra, because then we can be sure if we're doing it right or not. So looking at some more examples, when 5 is added to a certain number, the result is 8. So the certain number being x, we add 5, the answer is 8. Same thing with the next one. When 3 is taken from twice a certain number, so if my certain number is x, twice of that is 2x, and I take away 3, and the result is 10, which is what they have below there. We looked at some of the words here that we thought would give us an indication of what actions are happening or what operations are happening within the question. So different words for adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing. And really a lot of these words you would know from the question whether they're telling you that something was added or something was subtracted. Ones like greater than, less than, those can be ones that are that maybe just take a little bit longer to think about what you need to do to actually relate the two situations that they're giving you. But it's important, I suppose, just to have an idea of a lot of these words and what they mean and which of our 4 operations they would tell us that we have to do. So we'll look at one of the examples here. So when 3 is taken from 5 times a certain number, the result is the same as adding 6 to twice the number. Okay, so we have a lot going on here. It's quite a long question. So we need to break it down. The first thing we're going to look at is in the middle here where it says the result is the same. The result is the same. So result was what we said earlier was kind of equal to. The same as is another way of saying equal to. So this part here means equals. And what it means really is that the first part here that I'm marking in yellow is going to be the equal to or the same as the second part here that I'm marking in the pink. So we're going to break these down. We're going to take them one at a time. So we're going to focus on the yellow first. Now I said that we have to let x be the unknown, this number that we don't know. So they're telling us a certain number. This is x. Okay, we're going to work backwards. We don't have to necessarily follow the words in order. So 3 is taken from 5 times a certain number. So let's work backwards. So we have our certain number. We're told that it's 5 times my certain number. Well, that means it's going to be 5x. Okay, so that's my certain number. That is my 5 times. 3 is taken. Taken, take away, so we take away 3. Okay, that's our first part. That's our yellow part done. Now, that is going to be equal to whatever we have on the other side. Again, we start with my number x. Twice the number, so 2x. And adding 6, so I add on 6. And that's the pink part then. So now we've set up our equation. Now to actually solve our equation, we're solving our equation as we have been doing. So 5x minus 3, I can take away my 2x from both sides to get rid of that 2x, to get all my x's onto one side. 3x minus 3 equals 6. Then I'm going to add 3 to both sides so that I can eliminate that 3 there. so I can just have x's on one side and numbers on the other side. I get 3x is equal to 9, which means that x is equal to 3 if I divide both sides by 3 there. Okay, so we're following those steps the normal way, and obviously at this point, if you are taking things across the equals or whatever way you're doing it, if that's working for you, that's fine. This is kind of the standard way. This helps us really have that deeper understanding of what's happening at each point, that we're taking things away from both sides or we're adding things to both sides. So looking at another example now, one number exceeds another number by 6. When 4 is added to 3 times the smaller number, the result is the same as twice the larger number. Find the numbers. Okay, there's a lot going on here. So we have two numbers in this question. We have two numbers to look at. We have one number which exceeds another number by 6. So if we think about what that would mean in numbers, if one of the numbers was 2, if the other number exceeds it by 6, is 6 more, then the other number would be 8. Or if one number was 4, the other number would be 10. Okay, so if we say one of our numbers is x, the other number has to be 6 bigger. So that will be x plus 6. Okay, so exceed there is meaning bigger. So it's 6 bigger. So one number is 6 bigger than the other number. Okay, obviously here then, this one will be the smaller of the two. And then this is going to be the bigger. So let's follow it the same way as we had done. The result is the same as, that's my equal sign. So that's where I'm going to split things. First of all, I'm going to look at the yellow part here, then we're going to look at the pink part. So when 4 is added to 3 times the smaller number, so let's go, smaller number is x, 3 times the smaller number will be 3x, and 4 is added to it. Okay, that's my first part. Now, result is the same as, so that's equal to, this is my yellow part here. Result is the same as twice the larger number. So twice the larger number. My larger number was x plus 6. So now we have a bracket involved. Okay, so we're solving an equation now that has a bracket, but we know how to do that. So we start by multiplying out that bracket. We get 2x plus 12. Then following our same steps that we've done with all our equations so far, we're going to try and get the x's onto one side. So that means taking 2x from both sides, or whatever way we go about it, I suppose. We get 12. Then here again, we're taking away a 4 from both sides. I get that x is equal to 8. Okay, so x is equal to 8. What is the other number? The other number was x plus 6, so that's going to be 14. So just making sure that we find both of them. Okay, so that we find both of them there at the end, because we were asked to find both of the numbers. So one of them is 8, the other one is 14, and for those two numbers, this equation will hold. So with these questions, really, the key things are letting x be the one you don't know, being kind of very aware of a lot of these words and having a good idea of which of your 4 operations they could be telling you to do. You can see a lot of the time it is the adding, subtracting, and multiplying more than the dividing, really. And then the way that we laid these ones out here, so try and find, first of all, where in the sentence is the equals part? Where does it say that something is the same, or the result is the same as, or is equal to? Because that's going to be your equals part. Then we're going to have our left hand side, our right hand side, and it's just working through those step by step. So pick the part that's unknown, then what happens first to that, what else happens to that unknown number, and we build upon it that way then, and that's the best way that we can lead through it and make sure then that we're setting up the equation the right way. And then solving the equations is the same as you've always been doing. So really the key part here is just forming those equations more than actually solving them.